Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to a very special show of Milanistas 360, titled What the F Ball, because that's probably what we're up to right now. So, just to introduce our guests, as usual, myself, Husni in Kuala Lumpur, and Shane from Nairobi, and we have a very special guest with us, John, aka Lab Gorilla, if you know him from other channels, who is in London. So, very happy to have all of you, especially you, John, and thanks for joining us for the first time. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
Shane, let's kick things off. How do you feel?
Oh, great, man. So we're owned by a quasi venture capitalist fund called Redbird. We basically, so we let Ibra go into pastures anew by getting, well, he obviously retired. Finishing that, then we brutally chopped up a bit of, a cornerstone of our club, which that's okay because it's, who cares? Forza Moneyball, right? Forza balance sheets. So just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, right? We've sold Sandro Tonali to what actually is a club with a project. So we sold him to Newcastle. So this is the club we're becoming. We are now Arsenal and Borussia Dortmund. So this is great, guys. This is Moneyball at work. Billy Beans or Barry Beans, or whatever the hell his name is. This is where we're at. I hope you're excited. John, what are your thoughts on the last couple of weeks?
I am. You know what? I think I've discussed this guy with you guys before. 2 months ago, if anybody had said to you, "We're gonna get rid of Maldini, we're gonna get rid of Tonali before July," would you have believed them, or would you have sent them straight to a mental institution saying, "There's no chance in the world that's happening"? Right? You cannot believe what Cardinale is doing, and I cannot defend anything he has done. Maldini, the way he was let go, by the way, that effing press release was putrid. It was sterile, is the correct word for it, isn't it? Diaz got a better send off.
Generated on ChatGPT, by the way.
Do you know what? I could do it right now. Ask ChatGPT right now. Send me a leaving letter. Write me a leaving letter. It was just disgraceful for an absolutely. That shows Cardinale's got no idea who he's dealing with. And I guess I can only possibly forgive those really, really young Milan supporters who don't truly understand who Maldini is. Maldini is a cornerstone of the club. It is not someone you just remove that like that. You cannot do it. And then, by the way, a couple of days later, say, "Will you be a consultant for us?" What the hell? Would anybody accept that? No. Maldini wanted more control of the club because we were on a 3-year trajectory of qualifying for the Champions League. We've made a few mistakes along the way. He's learning along the way, but he is Milan. We cannot see the two separately. And guys, Pioli, again, I'll say 2 months ago, Pioli will last longer than Maldini.
You did, yeah. I remember that.
It's just I can't express how angry I am. I tried to stay away from any Milan news for a full month, and then this just pulled me back in. To see Tonali, and I don't care. I don't care. He stayed because of Maldini.
It's
Maldini
okay
was the
though, because
question.
our balance sheets are good, right?
No,
I mean,
yeah.
who cares about sporting success or about the heritage of a club?
None
You
of it
know,
exists anymore. It's all about so-called survival. Well, if you're talking about so-called survival, 90% of the clubs in Serie A should be gone. They should be gone. In fact, Man City shouldn't be given the Champions League. They should be banned. All of these clubs that have smashed financial fair play should be obliterated, but they are not. That's not the real world. So this is not about being sustainable and having a club that can go on for years. No, it's nothing to do with that. This is all about who has come in and them wanting to make money. This has got nothing to do with anything else. I think people who are trying to say anything else are purely trying to come up with a reason as to why this is happening. There's no other reason. If I'm an investor, I know nothing about football. Oh, by the way, Jerry said this is a portfolio company within our portfolio. That's what Milan is. That's all we are, a portfolio company. And they are asset stripping right now. Would you be surprised if by the start of the season we have not lost Theo and or Manyan as well? Not
Okay.
anymore.
Yeah, let me touch on that. And I just want to ask both of you, maybe start with you, Shane, is that, we spoke a bit about this, and thanks, John, for covering that, about the trajectory. Yeah. So if you keep in mind that our last game was actually 5th of June, which wasn't too long ago, it was about 2 weeks ago. And in the space of about 2 weeks, we've lost our sporting director. We've lost, you could say, a future captain of Milan. I don't know how else you want to term him. We're also at risk of losing another star player because Theo seems to maybe wobbling a bit. Again, we don't know what's happening. And you could say, a similar sort of things with the rest of the key players of our team. I mean, I don't think Liao is untouchable now because he just renewed. I mean, you could argue that his value is at the highest. What would you guys actually say that our trajectory is looking like? Because 2 weeks, you can judge quite a bit because things are moving
Oh,
fast
it's
here.
great because Moneyball. It's great. It's great. So we're gonna use. Sorry, I don't know if you can hear this. Hear
We
this.
can.
There's an ibis flying over. Anyway,
Okay.
you can. Sorry. No, no, it's great because Moneyball. And remember what we talked about a couple of months ago, Husney, where I said the last thing that I would really want for this club is to have an owner that has a carrot and a stick approach, which is basically, oh, you know, uh, forget about the sporting success, right? And when we're selling our star players, what's really important is that we're self sufficient and we have a great balance sheet. And you had a great response a couple of podcasts ago where you basically said, look at the Inter and AC Milan game. If you're a kid and you're looking at that game, who are you going to support? Are you
Yeah.
really going to give a shit about the excuse language? Are you going to care about the team that's not doing so well financially, even though they've basically decimated us on the pitch? So maybe Barry Beans or Billy Beans, I don't know, whatever his name is, right? So if he can come up with like some sort of algorithm, right, that can make young teenagers actually like a team that's basically struggling against big teams, we are in deep shit. But maybe I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's something I don't understand about American sport. Maybe they're okay with supporting junk teams. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I'd like to see how it's going to translate to Serie A. I don't think it will do. I don't think it will do. I think Cardinal is really showed he's all right. Okay. So my big gripe with Cardinale, right, is Ibrahimovic retired like a champion, right? Didn't do much for us in the last, was it 6 months, whatever, multiple injuries. He's playing
Yeah.
as a 40-year-old, right? Cardinale didn't have the self respect or the decency to actually come out on the pitch and clap him down. That should tell you things. We have an owner that doesn't understand not just the team, the sport that he's involved in, and that there's a thing called heritage and a thing called culture in the sport. And what he's doing is he's doing a great job of alienating an awful lot of the die-hard, hardcore Milan fans, right? And if this is some sort of like 4D chess move, right, that I'm not understanding, for fair juice to the guy, right? But I don't think it is. I think it's just complete. I just don't think he gets it.
Okay.
I think
No.
we have a piss poor Todd Bowley.
Okay. How about you, John? Because you've been around long enough, so you've seen the Berlusconi era and how that
Yeah. Yeah.
ownership treats the club, players, fans, and all that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in the short amount of time, you can compare, right? So, what do you think about the comparison
No.
and the
This
trajectory?
this is this is really typical of a pure venture capitalist firm coming in and pretending to care about a subject and being informed about a subject. This is nothing to do with being an owner that cares and has a passion for a club. This is not that. This is a transaction. And that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. Maldini had an ambition for us to grow. So he probably went into the meeting thinking, all right, this is what I need to go to the next step. The guy said, get up. You know, this is not what we need. What we need is to make Milan into a club that doesn't finish top four. We need to make Milan into a club that has no really expensive assets because we can return money to our investors immediately. And then we bring in cheap alternatives, we build value in them, and we sell them. That is a sustainable business
John,
model.
just a quick question, right? So, right, obviously being from England, right, you know the Premier League fairly well, right?
Yeah,
So, what I equate Moneyball to is Arsenal, right?
yeah.
How's their sporting success been the last, you know?
Yeah, so that's I think that's the big question. I mean, this year, obviously, they had a very, very close run, and then it all collapsed at the end of the season. But they built a stadium, and their revenues started to go up, and then they do have money
Hosni,
to
you need
spend.
to say the thing.
What's a balance sheet?
Thank
I
you.
need the sticker on screen.
But so I don't really know. So this is the other question, guys, I have for you, and it's a genuinely unknown for me. Do you believe that Jerry is looking seriously to build a stadium? Do you think we will break ground on a stadium within the next 12 months?
Yeah, if I can go first. I don't think it's realistic. I'm sure the intention will always be there. I mean, whichever owner can get a stadium off the ground, not only in terms of just being a AC Milan owner, but an Italian club owner, I think
Yeah.
that's already quite a big success. But think about the previous owners before him. Even in the case in the years of Berlusconi, I mean that wasn't a remote idea. They were already thinking about, okay, why don't we have our own stadium? So what I can't get my mind around is that I don't think he can accomplish what others before him could do in much longer time. I know he's had a lot of meetings and it seems to be a lot more progress, but that's because it's just been reported more widely. I'm not seeing a lot of concrete actions that would say that, oh, by 6 months, we're going to have the, what do you call it, ribbon cutting, that kind of ceremony.
Mm.
I'm just not seeing it to that level. But I mean, you guys might have a different opinion on that. How about you, Shane?
So I think, yeah, now that you say it, I think it's a good point. I mean, if we had the one-time president of Italy that at some point didn't see it was a smart business move to build a stadium, um, yeah, I honestly, I think that we're gonna go to we're so just to clarify my earlier statement about the carrot and the stick, right? So we have a big fucking carrot put in front of us about this new stadium. Um, it's not going to make much difference unless, and I'm hoping this happens, that Redbird are viewing us as a real estate project. And the sooner that they build a stadium, they're going to flip us. Hopefully, they'll flip us to someone they'll flip us to someone with just an infinite pot of money, come back and invest corp, by the way. And for people that are kind of being derogatory about, oh, the invest corp is going to load us into a load of debt, right? They're from the same part of the world of the owners that own PSG and Man City. So, I mean, financial fair play doesn't exist pretty much because they find ways to circumvent it. So, um, I just, I'm just so the best thing for this club is that I'm hoping that they break ground on the stadium next week. I'm hoping it's built in. I'm hoping it's built in. You know, it's built in a year and a half, 2 years, and I'm hoping that we're flipped to someone who actually understands the validity of sporting success and putting jerseys on people because it's obvious. Like it. this is the big discrepancy, though, between I think American club owners and like people that want success, right? So American club owners or American team owners, they don't understand what relegation is. They don't understand what you know what qualifying for the Champions League and what winning the Champions League is. You know, it for the most part. And I know I'm going to get a smart arse that's going to show up in the comments and kind of go, "Oh, Liverpool," and I go, "Yeah, how are they doing?"
Yeah, fair point.
So, like, you know, I mean, what other alternatives do we have? Todd Bowley, yeah, that's going well. So, but seriously though, guys, we have to be looking at a situation where it can't just be about the stadium up to a point. You know, I want to see I want to see this club progress, and I do want to see us in our own stadium, as I'm sure you guys do, right? I don't want to see us share a club with Inter or share a stadium with Inter, but what I don't want to see though is it's the crap that's happening before this, like
Yeah, but
because we're literally no, because this is important as well because so when you look at us on a metric of so Inter, as bad as their finances are, they've done far better than us in the last couple of years, like far better, right? So if it comes to even someone buying us that's okay to hold an amount of risk and amount of debt, fuck it, man, you just go for it. But this new ownership about you know trying to force the balance sheets, force a money ball, force a Billy Beans, Christ, like it's just not good. It's not good at all. I have a feeling that we might be talking about this in 2 or 3 years' time, and we're gonna say, remember that time where we won the league, we got to the semi final of the Champions League, and now we're happy that we've gotten to the Conference League, Europa Conference League, and it is such a like for a club with the stature of us, it's just not good enough.
Shane, you might have hit the nail on the head there. The only way out of this is the final part of the business plan, acquisition. So, what we maybe just need to hope for is that this happens as soon as possible. Anything that can possibly achieve that is the only way out of this because these owners are not in it for the football. It's incidental that we are a football club. Seriously, it's incidental. So there's no. I understand the fans because what the fans want is they want to have something to believe in, right? They want to think that surely we're on a path to something. We're not on doing Moneyball. We're not doing anything. We're literally a transaction. So the way out, you're right. The way out is to make the proposition, the business case, as exciting as possible so that some wealthy billionaire or state will come and buy Milan and cover us and literally make it a pet project because they want their toy to destroy all the others. Like PSG, like Man City, like now Newcastle. You know, that's the way to
Yeah, and this is the thing. And this is the thing. I was derogatory, so excuse the shit lighting. This is what happens when I use the torch of my phone because someone closed the curtains from. I'm doing this podcast from outside the house, but anyway, someone closed the curtains. So, no, no, you're 100% right. I was very derogatory when it came to the Newcastle project, especially. Well, I didn't know about it until they got Botman office, right? And then I was kind of going, ah, whatever, yeah, great, whatever. They're paying a guy a higher salary, and he's done what's best for his career. But when you look at what they've achieved in the last in the last year, you know, and the thing is people are going to talk about financial fair play and how well Newcastle have done it. They're not doing that as a club with a great history. They'll be doing that as a club that can afford a huge salary rating, right? And that's not just because of the Premier League, by the way. They're going to find ways to basically get great advertising people in, and sell shirts and do all this. But the thing is we could do the same thing. But if we do the same thing, it's not going to matter, right? Because we'll be basically kind of, oh, how many jerseys do you want to buy of a team that's struggling to qualify for the Conference League? So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all irrelevant. I see the way that the club project is going. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it. Um, at best, you could put Cardinale as insensitive to understanding what the fans want. At worst, you could kind of go, this guy is literally just you know, he's a scumbag.
Okay, I want to pose a question to John because you're in the UK, so I'm in England, and you can see what's happening
Yeah.
and how this model that what Cardinale is trying to implement is already being implemented in clubs in the Premier League. I mean, it's eventual. Yeah? I mean, Cardinale will do what he wants, and it's going to happen. But how do you think the club will actually change? Because now we just scraped into top four, and I'm looking at the table between us and Newcastle. It's around the same number of points, so performance wise is about the same. You could argue that EPL is a much tougher league because they have more money, more stars, and they can do a lot more things. But do you think
Stop that
as a
at no
club,
money, Husney,
yeah,
because that's what the Premier League has. It has more money. Go on.
yeah. But do you think, as a club, AC Milan, with our heritage, with the way Cardinale is doing his things, do you think that will actually change our identity? Because we were all in for the Scudetto, right? We were after the second star. But what do you think it's like now?
No, no, Husney. I think so. First of all, the clubs around us don't have that financial power that the Premiership has, right?
Mhm.
So yeah, they Lazio play an interesting style because they've got a manager that plays a good style of football. Roma have a manager that is just like results driven, nothing but results. But their owner is spending a bit of money. Inter are starting to lose players. So I saw Zeko and Brozovic potentially on their way out. But they're keeping a hold of some interesting assets still, like Barella, who's a wonderful player, and Juve continue to build, and that's so annoying. But guys, you asked me about whether the identity of the club is going to change. I do. I think the Milan that is supposed to be heading for, you know, challenging for things is gone. It's going to be disappearing. And the other thing as well, I'll say this: there are clubs in the Premiership that play a good financial model, but they have managers that are very, very capable. So you're talking De Zerbi, you're talking Klopp potentially, right? For those kind of models, those are managers that are proven at being able to get the most out of players and play a very interesting style. Now, do I put Pioli in that bracket? No, no, guys. I see, Husney, you're laughing. I don't put Pioli in that bracket. And that's where we are going to be in serious trouble because you know who the fall guy is for all of this. This is what the naive fans will see. In January, we will be sinking somewhere, mid table somewhere, and um, Cardinale will fire Pioli. And people will say, oh, thank God, that kind of thing. Cardinale will fire Pioli, not for footballing reasons, but because his contract will be nearly out, right? There won't be a lot more to pay out. We are we are actually fitting what we're doing right now fits exactly with Cardinale's plan. And said this to you guys before, but my belief is that his plan is to keep us nice and steady, sixth place to 11th place in the league, nowhere near where Milan belongs. But that's his vision, in my opinion. And everything he has done so far fits with that. He has not disproven me so far, has he? Have we signed anybody, guys? Just out of interest, tell me, who have we signed? We got rid of Diaz. Pioli has shown us, by the way, until the very last day, what he was about. Spineless. We have players that belong to us, like CDK, who needed to be brought into the club properly. Adley, who needed to be brought into the squad carefully throughout the season and been brought into the team, you leave him out. And you play a guy who belongs to Real Madrid until the very last minute that you can.
Pioli's great for Cardinale's model, right? Because he's
Yes,
a yes man.
exactly. He will do
Uh,
exactly as Cardinale wants. He's all about survival. He's not about bringing in players. So they say, I've heard people say Pioli was well known for bringing up talent, and this is what he did in his first year. He does have a very interesting. If you look at the clubs he's gone into, they seem to peak and then suddenly drop. It's really kind of interesting how he does this. Now, I said, I think around November time, that I believed he'd lost the team. Yeah. And we started that January was one of the worst months of football that I have ever seen us play. It was like 3, 4, 5 goals conceded per game. It was absolutely shambolic. And I thought that was the time to get rid of him. But
Yeah, yeah,
you're
I fully agree with you.
you guys, you got no. You, I know, Hasni. You were like you've been even earlier than me. You were saying
Yeah.
purely out. You
Pioli
know,
out, yeah.
you were even than me. But he is right. Shane, he is in there because he's a yes man, because he considered what this would do. He basically said, I don't want any of these signings that Maldini's brought in. Make him look as bad as possible, make them look as useless. The reason, guys, the reason CDK looks like such shite is not just because he is like a deer in headlights when he plays football now, but what has led to that?
Hmm.
How about being brought on where we're 2-0 down, 10 minutes to go, and all the good players are off the pitch? How about being brought
And
on
that,
when we're desperate?
John, and this raises a very important point that I don't think a lot of Milan fans understand right now. So you know this new triumvirate, right, that Milan have going right now, which is we have Moncada, we have Pioli, and we have the bearded 5-year-old Forlani, right? So the three of them are going to be working very closely together, right? Apparently, and that's great, right? And I'll tell you why that's great because what it does is if they're going to be working very closely together, right, it means there's no room to hide. There's no
No,
room
Shane,
to
that
hide anymore.
actually in the past few days we've seen that's actually not correct. So if you say
Okay.
that they're working closely together, then where is Pioli in all of this, right? It seemed to be a Forlani-led show, along with Cardinale in his ear. I'm not seeing anything from Pioli, by the way.
Are you saying that Redbird wouldn't tell the truth?
I wouldn't be surprised. Come on, even Cardinale said, "Oh, what is it? I hate to lose," something like that. But he's not talking about
I
games. He's
think I
talking about
think he
money.
meant I hate to lose. I need to junk this club so I can actually buy Milan. I think that's what he meant.
No, but on a
So
serious note, guys, I want to point out, raise a point here. Yeah. So I'm looking at the tables and I'm comparing the EPL because the EPL is the model that all the owners want to head towards. Yeah. And I'm comparing it to our Serie A table. Within the league, our league, there's only about, if you ask me, about only four teams that want to win the Scudetto. It's us, Inter, Juve, and you could say because of this season is Napoli. I don't think Lazio is in it to win it. Yeah, I think they're there just to get top four, and that's about it. Atlanta probably wishing the same thing. Roma also praying the same thing. But if you look at the EPL and with the caliber of coaches that they have, and with the amount of money that they have, you got Chelsea, Man City. I'm sure Man United they also want to win it. Now with the ambition, Newcastle want to win it. Spurs, I know they haven't won anything, but yeah, they probably want to win it too. I mean, this is why I'm saying that within the mindset of the ownership is something really wrong where it's a much tighter competition and you should be able to invest more to do much better than if you were in the Premier League. But to bring us down, and like you said, John, to bring us down to that close that mid table or the upper half of the mid table is essentially giving a free pass to three other teams to compete amongst themselves, and we're just there for that eventual fourth place if we're lucky.
I just want to
How
say
bad is
one
that?
thing. I just want to say one thing, and I might end up with egg on my face, right? Right. So let's say the rest of the transfer window goes well, right? And we get in all the players that we needed, and we do wonders in the league, and we do wonders in the Champions League, right? Now, when Cardinale, right, kicked out Maldini, right, basically threw him out like a piece of junk, right. I was very I had like a type of OCD where any comment that I responded to in a Milan context was hashtag Cardinale out, right. Now, there was a couple of channels that were going around that were basically saying, "Oh, well, look, it's too early in this phase. If you're saying Cardinale out, do you really think that he's going to listen? Do you? No, I don't. I don't. Like Cardinale is a billionaire, right? Well, his friends are billionaires. He's a pauper, but so his friends are billionaires. He's not going to give a shit, right? But the thing is, though, is that the same people that were saying, "Oh, why are you saying Cardinale out?" Right? They're not complaining now. They're not disagreeing when they say Cardinale out now that he sold Tonali. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I can see where this is going. We are going to become an Arsenal or a Borussia Dortmund, and I don't like the way that this club is going. So fuck Cardinale, seriously.
I think some
The-
fans are happy with that though, Shane. I do.
how can you be that? And I agree with you, John. But here's the thing, though, is like at some point, right? How can you be happy when your club is getting sold down the river? Because that's it's like. What point are you proving to are you proving a point to yourself at the cost of success to your club? This is a horrific situation. And and if Milan fans are happy that it's like, right, Maldini's getting treated like shit and getting thrown out the door, Tonali's getting sold, and I don't disagree, by the way, that Tonali's getting sold at that price, because I don't. Here's the thing: I don't think I think Tonali's making a bad career move,
Yeah.
because
Yes.
he's going to go to the Premier League, and he's going to be basically beaten around the pitch by players that are far bigger than he is, right? And maybe in 5 years' time, if we bought him back, we'd probably get him for like 15 million, 20 million, right?
But Shane, he's
Mm.
gone to a project. That's the one thing you have
He
to say.
has.
He has
He
gone to a
really
real
has.
project. So
He really has. And this
yeah,
is the thing. And for like fans that are saying, oh, Tonali could have refused the salary, right? And he could have. Why would he? He's not Kessie, right? Or he's not Donnarumma that basically sold their souls to go and play shit football, right? Tonali refused a high salary when he signed for us because of who?
yeah,
Paolo
here we go.
Maldini.
Here we go. Yeah, and
Now,
that's
now the thing, you see, this is the thing, though. Like, and people that are like the same people that are upset now because Tonali's gone. They didn't give a shit when Maldini went.
we
So,
we we have a split in the fan base. I believe, Shane. That I think some people are just trying to say, listen, support the colors no matter what. And then you just kind of you're kind of having a bit of a mind fart because you're not understanding here. Support the colors. Maldini is the colors. Maldini is Milan. Milan is Maldini. The name and the club are the same thing. And I think people cannot, they just want to believe that Milan has something to look forward to. And listen, I
John,
stand here to
John,
be
there's
disproven.
there's an easy answer to this, right?
Yeah.
So, how you can define Milan fans, right, for the most part, right? The fans that started watching either in the banter era or after, right? And kudos to those fans, by the way. There's no dismissal there, because watching a junk team where Rodrigo Eli is your centre back and all these drunk players, right? Kudos to you, right? But then there's the Milan fans that remember the old times. So you
Yeah.
had Baresi, Tassati, right?
Yeah.
Maldini, right?
Yeah.
So this is how you distinguish the two fan bases, right? And I know there was the thing with the Ultras and Maldini didn't end so well with the Ultras and all that, right? But when you look at it though, anyone that was happy that Maldini left, right? Remember this in 2 years' time. Remember this when we're getting where there's players not coming to our club that are only 15 because they were fun versus people that actually grew up watching Van Basten, Rijkaard, and Hullet. Right, this is the difference. You see, and the
Yeah.
problem is there's certain sections of the fans who they just seem to have this thing in their head where it's like, well, it's okay to dismiss a club legend, or it's okay to. At what point does that stop? Right, because that's a bad game when you look at it, because we're selling our soul, right? I mean, I'm looking at Baresi, who's still working at the club. I'm looking at Tasati, who's still working at the club. I'm looking at these players, right? And they're kind of going, or these ex-players, and they're kind of going like, we no longer have heritage. And if we no longer have heritage, what the fuck are we? We are Man City.
So the question I have for you, and this is a listen. We are fans. I think in our particular case, we agree with each other on Maldini and stuff. And how do we move on now? Seriously.
Yeah, there's actually a question to that that I want to ask both of you. Is that, with everything that's happened, there's actually a situation where you guys might feel okay. So, what do you think that situation looks like to you, and do you think it can be achieved in the next 2 months? Because we've you could say it's quite new. Yeah, I mean we've only just played the last game about 2 weeks ago, so we have another, what, 2 months or a month and a half to really get the house in order. So, what do you think is realistic to happen in that 1.5 to 2 months, that you think that, okay, it wasn't as bad as I feel now? Maybe we start with you, Shane.
So what I want is I want a club that has depth in every position, right?
Okay.
So I want a team that has depth in every position. I want a couple of surprising players, which I don't doubt Mancada's scouting ability at all, right? Because he's shown it multiple times in the past. But what I doubt, though, I I really doubt that, you know, I don't think Cardinal understands that. It's like I said about the Newcastle thing, right? So it's like, why Newcastle are in a privileged position. They're in the EPL, right? They have money to burn, right? Not money to burn because they've spent it unwisely, but because they qualify for the Champions League and all the royalties that come along with that, and that's fine. But they don't need a scouting network anymore, right? So all you literally need to do is, if you're a club with money to burn, all you need to do is you just look at who Milan are trying to buy and you outbid them, and it's easy to do, right? So what they would really need to do for me is to try and get some sort of quality back. Is we at least need to finish second, at least, right? Which we're not going to do. John, I can see you nodding, right? We're not going to do that. So we at least need to finish second. We need to push somewhere in this area, right? And we at least need to get into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And we won't. We won't. We won't. But instead, we'll be fed the line from an awful lot of like social media networks, for that are Milan centric, that are going to be, oh well, what we're doing is, you know, like you say, Hosni, Forza balance sheets, Forza Billy Beans or Barry Beans or Forza Moneyball, all this bollocks, right? We're not going to get that, right? Or we're going to get that, right? But we're not going to get sporting success. And here's the thing: it'll land on Pioli, like you said, John. But then who the hell else do we get? Do we get someone from, mid-table Serie A, right? And hope it all turns around? Do we hope he becomes an Ancelotti? Do we hope he becomes like literally what this club is now? For any Milan fan out there, I promise you this, right? At me, tweet at me, do whatever the hell you want to do, right? Oh, hashtag Milanistas, 360, or at Milanistas 360, whatever, right? If I'm proved differently, please drag me through the shit, right? But I can promise you This is literally anything that happens in the next couple of years until the stadium is built is just a buying time exercise for Cardinale to try and semi keep the fans happy while he's paying for the stadium so he can flip us to someone that actually wants sporting success. And this is what we have now. We forget it. Honestly, forget it.
Okay. How about you, John? What does okay
So,
look like to you?
Hasni, have this thought in your mind right now. If next week we have to go and play a friendly against Real Madrid, look at our
Oh yeah, I
midfield right
forgot
now.
about that. Yeah. We got
Just look at
friendlies.
our midfield right now. Krunic and Pobega will be starting in midfield. But no lie, that's all we got. Benacer, just to remind everybody, he's probably out until Christmas time, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So we are actually short of bodies. So, Hasni, what would I need? I need a lot of players to come in. We're being linked as usually every transfer window. We're linked with everybody, aren't we? We're literally linked with everyone, but we generally end up buying one or two on the very last day of the transfer window. We need to satisfy my concerns and to kind of alleviate my concerns. We need early signings so that Pioli can start to integrate them into the team, for Pioli to start using them, and for them to start to show us something that is different. That's how
But
I
John,
would. Yeah,
here's the
tell
thing
me
as well. So when Pioli does this, because Pioli's getting all the players that he wants now, magically,
what they say.
that are over the salary cap that Maldini couldn't give, by the way. So they must be good now, right? So Pioli's going to get these, and I guarantee you this, he's going to flunk. So in December, we'll be looking for a manager, right? And you know what we'll get? We'll get, I'm hoping we get Satil, right, from
Yeah,
likes of
not bad.
Udinese,
Yeah, I'm a
right?
fan. I'm a fan.
Right. I'd love the Zerbi from Reading, but we
Or
can't afford
the
the
Zerbi. Oof.
Come on, we
he's
got
actually
money. Don't say that. We got money.
We've got money.
that's
We've
it.
got money now.
But like at the end of the day, though, I can you see where this is going, though, guys? Husney, question for you. Right. What are your thoughts about the upcoming year? Let's say we have an okay transfer window, knowing that we're building for the future, not for now, right? Because we're essentially a feeder club to bigger teams now, essentially, right? So, what are your like? Where do you think we're going to finish this year?
Well, let me talk about the performance and what I expect slash what I would like. So last year was a disappointment. Yeah, I think everyone agrees last year was a disappointment for defending champions. So I expect a lot of those players that didn't get minutes, that didn't play so well, to really step it up. Because now it's obvious that there's no favors anymore. If you don't do well, just like Tonali, who you could say did quite well and was still sold. So everyone's head could be on the block. There's no such thing as legends. Yeah, everyone's up for sale. So players like, for example, like Pobega that you mentioned him, he had some minutes, by the way. Pobega had some minutes. He needs to step it up. So I'm expecting a
He's
whole
a
different.
drunk player, though. He's a very drunk player.
No, but I
He's a drunk player. He's
I don't want to
like
judge these because most of our players in our squad are actually quite young. So for them, I think a year makes a world of a difference, especially if they get form, if they get a lot of playing time. And you could say I'm also hopeful that maybe Adley doesn't go. This could actually be the chance where Adley gets to play because now it's like, yeah, you're right. Our midfield is short. Adley can do that job, but whether then Pioli says that, oh, I'd rather him rot on the bench or try to find a club that will pay him like.
he said that.
By the way, we're not going to make our money
He
back.
showed that. He showed that during the last season, though.
Yeah,
He doesn't trust Adley. So
Pioli would put out a cardboard cutout of Diaz. That's
that's
what
it.
he would do.
That's it.
Honestly, it's I would love it if he didn't get rid of Adley. I don't think actually the club will get rid of CDK, for example. I don't think they can
mhm, yeah.
because I don't think they can recoup the money that they paid. I was about to say they lost. Recoup the money that they paid for him. I don't think they can. I think they
Same
have
thing
to
for
get
Adley,
top
by the way.
quality.
Adley cost 9 million. He wasn't cheap. 9 million was a lot for
I would say
Adley.
even from the little that you see him in friendlies, someone would buy him for more than 9 million, especially in the Prem or someone, you know.
He is nice hair though. I mean, you know, I kill for that
Yeah,
hair.
yeah, I'd go for that hair as well. Look at this bloody thing. But
Who wouldn't?
no, no, seriously, right now we're short on bodies. We're actually physically short on bodies. And how many more players are on the way out, by the way?
Oh no, but
Will
here's the thing though: we're short on bodies. So the money ball perspective of it is we sell we sell a player that's short, or we sell a player in the position that we're already short in. If Tonali didn't leave, right? We were already short in that position because, as you
yeah,
said, we're missing
yeah,
Benacer until fucking December.
yeah,
So apparently, Moneyball doesn't, that this magical fucking algorithm doesn't account for actually. Well, actually, hold on. Are you short in the position? Actually, no, it doesn't. No, no. We'll get a player from Paraguay that's missing a leg. It's probably
yeah.
a polio or some shit like that. You know what I mean? It's Christ, guys. Seriously,
Yeah.
No, but
you
to
Makes
know.
no
introduce a
sense,
little
does
bit
it?
positivity here, we have 1 month, exactly 1 month until
Hosni,
the
you're
next friendly.
introducing positivity. How does this
Yeah,
work?
I know.
Who are you? Bring
No, on
him back.
YouTube I'm different. In the chat, I'm a different guy. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
Krunich in the chat. Anyway, so we have a month until the next friendly. So there is still an opportunity for them to, as you've mentioned, there's still players that are coming in, and we can still get rid of the deadwood because a lot has happened in 2 weeks. So judging by the trajectory of that, in the next 2 weeks, you could expect that some other players might get sold, and that will create spaces within the team. But what do you think is really the focus of the club? Because defense, I don't think that we have any targets. I mean, I know we were in for Endika when Roma was, about to sign the deal. It seems to be just purely focused on the midfield and Thuram. I mean, do you guys agree? Is that really where this areas that we need to fix immediately, or do you think we should, rehash again the topic about the right wing? Because I think that's just not going to happen.
The right wing is a dream. The right wing is no longer an issue. The right wing is like on the topic. It used to be number one, and now it's just dropped because suddenly we're short in midfield. If we get rid of Theo, what are we going? Balotelli, left back, every single game. It's just I I'm speechless, guys. I'm speechless.
Yeah,
It's
because we
all
have.
right, but no, because what we'll get an overpaid American player like Pulisic, and we'll know damn well
Oh
that the
my
only
God,
reason
Pulisic.
we'll know
Oh my God.
we'll know that the only reason we're getting him is because Cardinale wants to increase the fan base over in the
Yeah,
United States, and that's it.
yeah.
He's not worth anything. He's junk. Um, Jesus, what's Timothy Weah doing these days? Because
Oh,
he's
He's good
actually
to Juve.
Juve. He's going to Juve. Yeah,
Yeah,
is he?
yeah.
Christ,
yeah.
12 million or something like
again,
that.
we've been screwed again. He's it'd actually work.
Yeah,
No,
the
but
club has been fined points. The club has been done for plus Valenza.
Uh,
No problem.
mm,
No
yeah,
problem.
and
That
playing in
club
the
got
Conference League. Yeah.
there. You go,
mm.
and they managed to sign Tim Weah. This is what I'm saying. None of it matters. All we can hope for is that we get bodies, and as you said, I don't think anybody questions Moncada's ability to find talent. Right.
No, no, no.
The concern we have now, you're right. You could just watch what Milan does. A big club can watch what Milan does and then come in last minute. There you go. We'll double your wages and take that player off. The hope is that one or two of those players will come to our way and that we'll have enough with the weakness of the league. We'll have enough to do okay. That's probably the best hope we've got, guys. Because
No, John.
I'll be honest, is Kamada like a special talent?
John, actually, we're doing the opposite. So the big clubs, when they target players like PSG and Thuram, we're going to the same player and we're offering lower with the promise that, you'll start, by the way. And yeah, you get to speak to Pioli. Pioli, the amazing Padre Pioli who won the Scudetto 2 seasons ago.
Hashtag Moneyball.
And you
Yeah,
That's
get
yeah,
to
how it
yeah.
play
works.
with Giroud and all this. So we're actually doing the opposite. So that's why I'm not getting the approach, and that's why this part is also titled "What the fuck ball." Because I don't know what is going on. But about the
No, but
wage cap,
how many months did it take us to negotiate Leao's salary for 5 million?
years, not months. It
And
was years.
yeah, years, right? And we're
Yeah.
willing to give it to a guy that scored at best like 14 goals in the
Mm.
Farmers League, the German league.
Yeah, yeah, and then
Mm.
think about it. Leao renews, and then the following week, Maldini goes. Like, "Aye, what did I just do?"
No, you
He's
know what
just
the
got a price on his head.
when Ibra left, right? Think about this for a scum. Just how bad it looks in terms of optics. So when Ibra retired, right, and he did what he did, so we had Massar and we had Maldini, right,
Yeah,
out on the pitch, right. They didn't know they were going to be fired. We had Tonali crying.
yeah.
It's like Jesus Christ. I mean, you know, literally, it's been run like a business. It's been run like an American business where no one knows they're safe. It's awful.
And
It's
Maldini Massara were on the training pitch every time, every
Yep,
day. Those
yep.
guys, you remember all those pictures of Maldini handing out the cap, the medals, like you've got 100, you've played 100 games for us,
Mm.
literally physically doing that. Do you think they give a toss about any of these guys going to them and saying, "Oh, well done, let's all clap for you," because a club non-legend, nobody will come along and give you this. Maybe they'll use Baresi to do that. I don't know, but
Do you think they'll
listen,
That's
even
guys.
it.
continue to do that? Maybe they'll think, oh, it's expensive now. Let's save some money and not give
No,
them.
as the let's not spend on a little medal.
No, but let's give credit where it's due, yeah. And you raised a good point, John. All those things happen, and if you talk about the ownership of Elliot, Gazidis was quite visible, yeah. Gazidis was also
Yeah,
at Milanello. Forlani, I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'm not looking at the photos clearly, but I'm not seeing it. And by the way, this is my own personal experience to everyone else who is listening. I was in Dubai end of last year. I saw Maldini and Mansara watching the game continuously, even though we were getting slapped
Sorry,
by Liverpool.
sorry, guys. Can you give me 2 minutes? I just have
Yeah, no
to
problem.
step away. Walk away.
Yeah. So I saw Maldini and Masara watching the game and watching us get slapped. Forlani was not in the stands. He was there because I saw him, but he was not seated anywhere near there to see how our boys were doing. So I don't, and he calls himself a Milanista, by the way. So I don't get what is the criteria for him to say that he's a fan and he has our interest at heart, because it looks like everything he's doing is against the fans and the club.
yeah. Well, everything that Cardinale has done, everything that Redbird has done, has made it crystal clear. We need to basically just go up in value, and we desperately need someone to come along and say, "All right, I'll buy the club. I am a real fan of this club, and I want to show the world that bring it back to the Berlusconi era." That's really the only way out. I could say something, by the way. I think Elliot, rescued us, financially rescued us. And think about it, Elliot run us in a way that enabled us to win the Scudetto. We did buy players, we did get them young, they did well. But Redbird is like it's like a business transaction on steroids, really. That's how it felt like Elliot at least let Maldini get on with it, whilst Jerry's come along and said, "No, you're not getting on with it. I'm going to be part of this club. I'm going to run this club. Get the hell out." And now I'm going to cut everybody. That's basically what he's done. Elliot wasn't that bad. When you
Yeah.
look back, I never thought that I would be standing here saying Elliot were not bad. When they first came and they put Shane, sorry, you named the guy that used to be at Arsenal, Gazidis. When they put him in place, I was really against it because, by
Yeah.
the ways, when Gazidis was hated at Arsenal at some point, he was like, "Ah,
Still is.
God, you're making it all, a financial thing. You're
No, you
making,
see what it was Ellie did achieve sporting results through efficiency,
yeah,
right? Redbird have achieved fuck all and acted like assholes. This is the you see, this is the like it's efficiency is one thing, right? And I wasn't a fan, especially when they like when Ellie came in. The next thing they heard Pioli, right? And that's why I was very I didn't want to jump on too early to the Pioli out hashtag when results got bad this year. But like you see, there's a difference though in that. So efficiency is always good, and efficient. No one complains about efficiency, right? Because if when it gets results, the problem is where we have people who like this. There's literally you have Redbird have been in charge for a year, right? They could have chucked out Paulo, when they first came in, but they didn't, right?
Almost did though.
And
They almost
instead,
did. They didn't renew
they
him.
almost did. They almost
Yeah.
did, but they didn't. So instead, what they've done now is they've kind of, created this triumvirate of, Ferlani, Moncada, and Pioli. It's not going to work. We're going to be left broken-hearted when we get chucked out of the Champions League too soon. We're going to finish mid-table, or not mid-table. We're going to finish outside the top four in this area. But it's going to be okay though, because we're going to get the cart and stick of the new stadium. So fuck it, Forza Moneyball, Forza balance sheets, guys.
Yeah,
This
but
is the
Yeah,
club we have now.
are you guys even surprised? Because I'm seeing it a lot in the social media and also within the chat groups that fans seem to put a lot of value on the stadium, saying that, oh, I guess if he builds a
yeah,
stadium, then everything's all right. How do you guys actually
yeah.
feel about that? I mean,
It's
other
not
than
the
the finances,
stadium.
what else does the
It's
stadium
not
solve?
the stadium. It's not the stadium. It's the fact that we have an owner who the only reason he's here is for the stadium. And it's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
damage he's
yeah,
going to do to the club building the stadium is the problem. You see.
yeah. I mean, so in the Premiership, there's pretty good examples of this. Several clubs went into stadium building, and they were restricted in being in the transfer fees, right? Because of that, and so they had to go several years of pain in order to be able to do it. And the fans were not happy. The fans were not happy at the time. Now they're getting massive revenues in, and they can see the other side. But
Sorry, John. John,
for us,
get,
there you
what
go.
what clubs are these?
So I was thinking Arsenal, Spurs were two of the examples of clubs that basically,
Two,
when they were
two, two,
stayed,
two, two of the most overhyped clubs in England
yes,
that have
yes,
won
yes, yes,
fuck
yes,
all. You know what I
yes,
mean? Like we
yes.
we shouldn't be like seriously. We are a different level. There's levels on things, right? There is levels. Like, and if we start comparing ourselves to those guys, Jesus Christ, you
But
know what I
I
mean?
genuinely think there are going to be fans that are going to do that. I'm not saying I'm one of them. I'm just saying, expect it. Expect people to say, we're building a stadium, therefore everything's okay. It's going to be okay that we're going to not qualify for Champions League. It's going to be okay that our squad is going to be weaker because money's being spent on the stadium. We're going to get our
No,
own stadium, and
and the
in
worst thing
five
is,
years, we'll have
John,
something.
John, you are 100% correct. And this again goes back to what I was saying earlier about there's two different fans. There's the fans who knows what success is like, the early Berlusconi era, and there's the fans that got into Milan the Banter era.
Yeah, yeah, I
You
think
see,
so. I think so, and I don't think there's any joining. There's going to be any joining in opinions there. I'm afraid, guys. I think it's going to be a big divergence, and it's going to be quite painful. Actually, it is already starting, though, isn't it? Because I find it a bit difficult to talk to people who are willing to just ignore. Um, they're just willing to ignore Maldini. I find that difficult because I
this is
don't.
the start of the decline of a club. This really is. Like people doing this shit to a club legend is the start of a decline, and no one wants
Yeah.
to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, all we can do now, guys, I keep saying it, all we can do now is watch and wait because we've got no control whatsoever. I've heard people say, don't go to the games, don't buy merchandise, and all that kind of stuff.
That's me.
Honestly, I, yeah,
Ah,
I
buy
don't,
the old merchandise.
No,
I
but
Seriously.
Milan
don't
Club
think
merchandise.
they care,
Oh,
but they
Million
don't
Club
care, guys.
merchandise. Yeah.
They don't care. They don't care. They don't care what you don't buy. They really don't. I mean, they're making their money out of selling our assets.
Yeah, but don't you feel that as fans that we also have a voice? I mean, the cover they've expressed themselves before, banners and
Apparently, some
slogans and all
podcasts
this.
don't. Some podcasts don't.
Yeah. So
Because
what?
if you hashtag Cardinale out, they seem that's a personal attack on the owner, and that hits
Oh,
him in the testicles, and they don't like
Shane's
that.
maybe taking it
Anyway,
personally. But how?
mm,
I mean, just to ask a personal question to both of you, if you want to express your opinion about what's going on, what do you think is the best way that you think it's respectful but also yet effective?
Ooh. Yeah, Hasni,
Because
that's a
I'm sure a
tough
lot of fans are
question.
thinking that it's like, I don't agree with what's going on. Do I need to join in like a podcast or start something up, or do I need to keep putting hashtags? What do you think fans should do, or maybe what would you like to see fans do actually?
You, can I start,
Yeah,
Shane?
sure.
Yeah. So I've got to hope in the ultras, and they're the guys that can be there. They can like put together some kind of show during the games that will be a really really a big display to kind of show the owners or even turn their backs on the game at point. This is the kind of thing. I think those guys are so powerful and they represent all of us globally, that some of us who can't get to the games. um, but on a personal basis, I can't stop supporting Milan. It's just not in me. I jokingly said today, maybe if Newcastle sign Theo and Manyan, I'll start considering Newcastle Milan light. But I just can't do it. I can't genuinely do it. I don't have a second club. I'm not one of those fans that has second club, third clubs in different countries. Um, I'll just have to do. I just accept it. We're back to the banter era. I'm sorry. Just accept it. I'm back to the banter era and hope that at some point, but I will not buy new Milan jerseys. I will support, local clubs. Yes, like Milan Club Dublin and things like that. I will support local clubs, but I will not buy jerseys because imagine those guys that went out and bought Tonali shirts, thinking he's a long. Oh, I'm sorry, Hasni, but thinking he's a life
I
because
had it
he
signed.
he.
Can you feel my pain? I even had it
Oh, mate,
signed.
mate, that's incredible. That's incredible. That's gonna be worth a.
It's gonna be worth something to a Newcastle fan now.
Yeah, yeah. Get some paint out, Hasni. Get some paint out. Make those stripes, red stripes, white, and you're done, man. That's basically it. Um, yeah, that's my piece. That's all I can do. I still support the club, but I can only voice my opinion in places like this and other channels that I'm members of. But um, yeah, yeah, I will stand for my opinion. I will not um, bow down to the opinion that Maldini was bad for the club. I will never accept that. I will never accept that. I'm sorry. And I will never accept that the way he was let go of was okay. And it's just financial, so it's all fine. And that Tonali could be let go for any amount of money. I'm telling you, in my opinion, if Maldini had still been there, that guy wouldn't have moved an inch. In fact, that approach would have been ejected immediately. That's my piece.
Sure. How about you, Shane? What's your approach to how things are going on, and what do you want to see fans do?
well, I so hashtag Cardinale layout has been a big thing for the last couple of weeks. I think I have a specific type of OCD where now anytime I'm on Twitter, I type it. But no, honestly, like John said, it's an important thing. So you support your local Milan clubs. Obviously, whatever shit the club is going through, you have to support them. It doesn't mean you have to support the owners. So what I would suggest you do is there's an awful lot of great clubs out there. Um, you know, go on Twitter. Figure out where you're at. Obviously, figure out your local Milan club. There will be one near you. And if there isn't one, you start it, right? Because this is how it works. Because we all love the club, but the fact that what I don't want to happen is where there's a load of fans that blatantly disagree with how the club owner is managing things, and we're supposed to be fed the party line of, oh, it's best for the club. Until we see results, and until we see, until we see something that actually shows us that Redbird and Cardinal actually give a shit about our club, which is physically impossible unless he gets like Bracey's heart transplanted into him. Cardinal is not going to give a shit about the club. So, look, we're saddled with where we're at, but just always remember that there's a load of fans out there that actually feel your pain as well. So,
Well
but it
said.
doesn't mean that we're going to toe the party line of actually, laying down and actually go, oh, this is great for the club, because it's not. It's fucking horrific. You know, we're just as bad now as we are when Yang Hong Lee took us over, but we have more guidance because we have Moneyballs and Barry Beans and all this thing. So yeah, support your local Milan club. If you don't have one, you create one, and laws with you will follow you. So that's all I'll say.
Yeah, that's great, Shane. And yeah, I think that on my side is that yeah, I, if you're a fan and you believe what's going on is really going against the identity of the club, I urge everyone, you're listening, you're watching this, speak out. I think the voices are important because it's not just about the ownership. Just like what Shane said, it's about the fans, the legends that have made it, all the trophies. I mean, we look at the club. I mean, I'm not just looking at the colors. I'm thinking the memories. I'm reliving the moments in front of television that I saw the goals, lifting the trophies. It's all that. So it's not just about who owns it, because ownerships can change. I mean, there was even that you could say it's a weak rumor that even a Qatari investor they want to take over the club if Cardinale was having so many difficulties to pay back Elliot. We can only
I
be
hope
hope.
he has so much difficulties. Please, please, please.
That is the other hope, isn't it? Is that he defaults. There's the
Mm.
other hope is that he defaults, but I don't think he will because he's got
No, he
assets to get
wants.
rid of.
No, he
Yeah,
wants. He wants, and we'll become the Milan Yankees before he defaults. Do you know what I mean?
but with that,
Hashtag sponsorship.
yeah. You guys have any closing comments? I mean, yeah, we've great to have everyone on, and it's been past the hour mark. We try to keep it under an hour
Shit.
just to keep it a bit
Sorry.
Oh,
content.
that was a bit much. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So only thing I'll say, guys, is always support the club. Love Milan, no matter what. Um, support your local clubs and get your opinion out there so that so that people can have these conversations because they're really important. And everyone's being really stressed by what's happening in the last few days, and I think it will continue. So it's the best thing to do is to talk to other fans like yourselves, and just so thank you very much for inviting me.
Most
No,
welcome, and
it's
you're
good.
always welcome to join us. Even every
Yeah,
week.
definitely, Jack. It's good chat. I will say one thing though. Hashtag Cardinal layout. Hashtag fuck Redbird. Actually. Hashtag I have a long flight ahead of me, so I'm going back to Ireland for the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah. Anyway, go on.
Yeah. So for those who are tuning in, yeah, you can follow us on Twitter, MillionaireSays360, Instagram, yeah, for the other socials. Again, bad on me. I still have not updated it yet, but yeah, catch us always on YouTube. And Forza Milan, as always, always be there
Forza
with you guys.
Milan. Bye.
Italia!